Today I'm going to share with you how I made an almost 10% return in less than a year investing in government debt. And it all started with one text message from my bank. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. Here at Nomad Capitalist, we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you're treated best. You can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. And it was during the height of the COVID pandemic when everyone was going crazy, when the US dollar was dominating as people exited emerging market currencies. They exited practically everything that they could and funneled money into US dollars. It was back then that I said, if you're holding US dollars, go out and buy real estate in countries that give you residence and citizenship. Go out and invest in other countries, get passports, get bank accounts, get things done, because the dollar is at this multi-year high. And since then, the tides have turned. But it was back then in, I guess, April of 2020 that I got a text message on my phone. I was sitting in Malaysia. I got a text from my bank in Singapore. And the message was something that I never expected to get from a pretty blue chip bank, saying the Singapore dollar has now crossed 1.41 against the US dollar. Get your trades on now, basically. And for a long time, when I first was going to Singapore, there was a time when the Singapore dollar was 1.2 to the US dollar. It weakened, but it hadn't weakened to that point, 1.41. That was starting to freak people out. And so I got the message. And I'd already been diversified. I have a number of assets that are in Singapore dollars, whether it's some equities and REITs and things like that. But I believe in total diversification. I'm all for bullion, I'm all for precious metals, I'm all for crypto, I'm all for real estate. I also like having some liquidity. And so I'm in a lot of different asset classes. And one of the things that I said was, I'm going to buy more Singapore dollars because I believe in Singapore. This is a country with great credit. It's a country that's been very fiscally responsible. And one of the things that you can do if you have an account at one of the big 3 banks in Singapore is you can buy Singapore government debt. Probably the easiest thing you can do. We wrote an ultimate guide on our website, nomadcapitalist.com. It was about Singapore savings bonds. Back when I first looked at these in 2019, you had rates that were 1.5%, something like that. And as COVID hit, you went below 1% and then quickly down into the cellar. How savings bonds in Singapore work is you can hold them for 10 years. They're only for sale on the primary market. There's no secondary market. You buy them from the government in the month of issue. Seems like it's always undersubscribed. And you can hold it for any amount of time you want. You can redeem them at any time for face value. You get whatever interest you earned. And it costs you $2 Singapore dollars to turn the trade on, 2 Singapore dollars to turn it off. If you hold it for the entire 10-year maturity, you don't pay the $2 to redeem it. They give you your money back. And the rate escalates every year. So you might have, like in this case, the rate was 27 basis points, a ridiculous 27 basis points for the first year. But the last year, it was something like 1.86%. And so averaged out to 90 basis points if you hold it for the whole 10 years. And so I decided, I said, I have a couple bank accounts in Singapore. I don't think any of them are going to have any problems, but I have, I like to have certain limits on bank accounts. I only buy certain amounts of stocks. I don't greed buy or panic sell stocks or things like that in most cases. And so I said, all right, I'm going to throw a couple bucks into this Singapore savings bonds. And the maximum you can do at any time is 200,000 Sing dollars. And so converted some money out of US dollars at that about 1.415, and then moved it over into these savings bonds. I said, I'll figure out what I want to do. I've been looking at real estate, but as you can imagine, in 2020, it's hard to go around and look at all the different deals around the world. And so I'm looking to build up liquidity so that when you can travel, you can go and buy. So needless to say, my 9.49% annualized return came from, since that time, I ran the numbers recently, and while I've earned the very tiny 27 basis points in the first year, you've got 9.22% currency appreciation since then as the tides have turned for the US dollar. And as the Singapore dollar creeps back to where it was last year and even starts to creep back towards where it was in a number of years ago, before it had weakened against the U.S. dollar in this last couple of years of strong dollar. And so as I look forward to 2021, everyone says, including the folks at this bank, but many people are saying the dollar is really going to get beaten up. And you look at what's happened to the dollar against the euro, against the Swiss franc, against the British pound, against the Australian and the Kiwi dollars, and against the Sing dollar. Pretty much every country on earth, or every currency on earth, has outperformed the US dollar in the last couple months. The Thai baht, the Malaysian ringgit, emerging market, developed market, and I think it'll get worse. And so certainly it would have been good for all of us to buy more assets and to move more money into other currencies that would have gotten us, whether it's residence permits, citizenships, whatever. If you haven't done that yet, I would suggest you do that now if you're holding US dollars. If you're holding another currency, I would suggest looking at markets where you can buy real estate or buy citizenship or buy things in dollars, because the price is certainly lower than it was at the beginning of a year ago. And so, for me, I think what's been important for me as a nomad capitalist is you run a business, you're able to pay, light amounts of tax on your business. You have more money than all of your friends who live in high-tax countries. What do you do with this extra money? I will often ask people that I'm talking to, imagine that you saved $300,000 a year. Imagine that you saved $1 million a year, whatever it is. What would you do with that money? A lot of entrepreneurs, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. They said, I haven't figured out how to invest or spend the money I have now. I'm too busy running the business, right? I got to find an investment guy. And so I think that the beautiful thing about being a nomad capitalist is having more liquidity. The challenge sometimes is, where do you put that liquidity while you're looking for the next deal as more liquidity comes in? And so I think that, for me, going forward, moving money out of US dollars, which is the currency that we transact in here at Nomad Capitalist, many of you transact in, and for some of you, that may be the only currency you hold. Moving that money into other currencies, not as necessarily speculation, but knowing that the dollar is getting worse, knowing that they pumped so many more dollars into the system. So have other countries, but the US perhaps will no longer be the cleanest shirt in a dirty laundry basket. And I think it's a good way to, at times make 10% annualized returns. At other times, to get yourself into more safe haven currencies, get yourself diversified among your fiat, and open up new opportunities. And so this is just one example where it worked out well. I think you'll see a lot more of those in the years to come. And so if I'm holding US dollars, I'm definitely looking at how do I diversify out of those in the coming year. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.